Another day, another Arcade 1-Up reveal. Yesterday, sorry I'm a little late on this one. Yesterday, Arcade 1-Up officially unveiled pre-orders for their TRON Arcade machine. Now, if you haven't played TRON before, TRON is definitely one of the most definitive, sought-after arcade games that exist. And if you wanted to buy a real TRON Arcade, by the way, the official the real box, it would cost you anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. I looked this up because I was really curious about this, and for a long time, I personally have thought about getting an arcade in the house. I still haven't yet, but I always think about it. Tron would definitely be one I would be interested in. Obviously, it spawned a whole movie franchise. Disney now owns the rights to all of that. But when it started in its most basic form, it was a very futuristic shooter that had some really out there mechanics. So the fact that it's fetching a $700 US price point honestly isn't that surprising to me. However, I feel like we have gotten to this point now where Arcade 1-Up is just out there. I don't know who this is for. The true enthusiasts, people like, I don't want to say myself because I'm never going to buy a $5,000 arcade cabinet, but people like me who really like Tron probably want the authentic thing. Arcade 1-Up has been known to do somewhat substandard work in the past. If you haven't caught any of my previous deep dive videos, and we've looked at some of the art and the height and the screen and kind of the layout of the machine. They don't always do the best quality. I think it's a fair representation and replica of what to expect, but it does leave some things to be desired at times, right? So my point is, who is going to spend $700 on an arcade cabinet? Well, it might be you. There is a link to this in the official description below. Note that free shipping is now a thing. You could buy this directly from them. They have affiliate links with Best Buy and some other places as well. You can pick that up as well. Okay. So $700. Well, what does $700 get you? Well, it gets you a cabinet and it gets you a matching stool. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these photos together. Is my zoom... I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. These pictures are just kind of weird sized. All right, so first and foremost, you'll notice with Tron, let's see if I can find a picture where it's just the cabinet without a dude's hand on it. You'll notice that with the arcade cabinet, right? There we go. You'll notice that it's a very weird looking controller. Now, this was done intentionally. This was done by the game designers because they wanted you to feel like you were entering the future. And at the time when this came out, this was very futuristic looking. The problem with an arcade cabinet like this, getting away from your conventional buttons and controller stick, this is going to be very, very hard to install other games on it. Now, one of the things that a lot of these arcade cabinets are really known for is they're kind of emulator-like machines, right? And yes, you do go out and buy the officially licensed cabinet. It's got the nice panel art on the side. It's got the nice graphics, and it's themed in the particular style. However, a lot of people will add in their own arcade games, which really, I mean, that's, I think, what just about anybody else would do at this point. I can't imagine you're buying an arcade cabinet for one game. Well, if you're a fan of Tron, you're kind of going to be stuck with it because this controller is very different than anything else you've seen. The fact that it has a radial dial for your left hand, a conventional joystick on the right with a thumb button grip, really limits what you could use this controller for. You wouldn't be able to play a game like Street Fighter, which has a multiple buttons dedicated to, weak punch, strong punch, that sort of thing. This is a one button input with a control knob, which incredibly limits the ability for you to add other things to this. If you're a purist and you don't care about any of that, well, then I'd have to say it is incredibly faithful to the original. And it does look very, very similar to what the original would get. But I wanted to point that out, that this is very, very, very particular to this game. And it looks nice. I mean, I think they've done a good job with the side paneling. They are starting to include the riser. So let's go back to the description briefly. They do have the riser, which means it's going to stand a little bit taller than some of the original Gen 1, that's my term, not theirs, arcade one-up machines that were significantly lower for an adult to stand in front of. This one also comes up with a matching stool as well. So some of the other cabinets have included stools before. This one does as well. Oh, there it was. So it's basically your standard arcade stool that matches the front panel art. It says Tron on it. Nothing fancy with the stool. But I could understand that this would increase the value slightly. I don't know if you guys have ever looked into bar stools. They're not cheap. There are stores that are dedicated solely to selling bar stools, and they are stupid expensive. My wife and I spent way too long when furnishing our home looking for tall enough, rigid enough bar stools that didn't cost $700 each. They're just stupid expensive, and I don't understand it. That said, I can understand why this particular set costs a little bit more, but the stool doesn't do anything specific. As with all of the other arcade one-up stuff, it seems to be a standard screen, nothing fancy in the sound front. They have included, the black lights and stuff, which are authentic to the original. The way that the stick does light up at night or in a dark environment where you would most likely be playing this, to eliminate glare, of course. Definitely authentic to the original, and it does include Wi-Fi connectivity while you for online leaderboards only. So there's really no like versing or playing against other people. There's none of that. It's just solely for the online leaderboard. But it's a lot of money. That's what I guess I get stuck by. I guess me personally, I have sticker shock on this one. It looks nice though. I don't know. They've definitely been faithful to this. You look at some of the other arcade cabinets they've done with like the NBA Jam one that's like a mini arcade. You got Pac-Man. They've added Ridge Racer, which I'm going to admit I really do like Ridge Racer. The fact that it's got a steering wheel. So you see that, and if you look at some of these just briefly, actually this one doesn't even open up for price. I'm going to almost guarantee this one's $700 too. We'll probably do a separate video on that. But if you look at ones that are just dedicated buttons, do we have any that we can click on? There we go. You could see that they're raising in price considerably. And I wonder, when this first started, they were a little bit cheaper. I wonder if it's because of COVID. I don't know. I don't know if it's just supply is hard to find right now, or a lot of people are not buying these and they're trying to recoup their money on the few customers they have left. I don't know. But I like Tron. I just don't know if Tron in 2021, on the brink of some of potentially earth-shattering games. I don't know. I don't know if $700 is going to be a competitive price for these guys. If you are interested, as I said, I will post a link in the description box below. Please do yourself a favor. Click on it, check it out, look into it yourself. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.